Alex Carter stood at the floor-to-ceiling windows of his penthouse office, watching the city come alive 45 floors below. At 45 years old, he had everything most people dreamed of. His company, Carter Industries, was worth $12 billion. His penthouse apartment covered the entire top floor of one of Manhattan's most expensive buildings. His garage held 6 luxury cars that most people only saw in magazines. But Alex felt nothing as he looked down at the tiny people rushing to work on the streets below. He felt the same nothing he felt every morning when he woke up in his king-sized bed alone. The same nothing he felt when he ate dinner by himself at his marble dining table every night. His phone buzzed. Peter Morris, his assistant, was calling from the outer office. "Mr. Carter, your new personal chef is here for the interview," Peter said in his usual calm voice. Alex sighed. This would be the 6th chef in 3 months. The last one had lasted only 2 weeks before Alex fired her. She had made the mistake of asking about his weekend plans while serving his breakfast. Alex hated when employees tried to make personal conversation. "Send her in," Alex said, walking back to his massive desk. The woman who entered was middle-aged with kind eyes and a nervous smile. She carried a folder with her cooking certificates and references. "Good morning, Mr. Carter. I'm Linda Watson." "Thank you for considering me for this position," she said, extending her hand. Alex barely looked up from his computer screen. "Sit down. Tell me about your experience." Linda sat in the leather chair across from his desk. "I've been a private chef for 15 years. I worked for the Henderson family for 7 years before they moved to London. I specialize in healthy, organic meals, and I'm very reliable. I also enjoy creating new recipes based on my clients' preferences." "My preferences are simple," Alex said, still not looking at her. "Breakfast at exactly 6:30, lunch at 1 o'clock, dinner at 8:30, no conversation during meal preparation or serving, no questions about my personal life, no attempts at friendship. You cook, you serve, you clean, you leave. Is that clear?" Linda's smile faded slightly, but she nodded. "Of course, Mr. Carter. I understand you value your privacy." Alex finally looked up. Something in her tone bothered him. It sounded like pity. He hated pity more than anything. "You start Monday," he said curtly. "Peter will give you the details." After Linda left, Alex tried to focus on work, but his mind wandered. It always did when he hired new staff. He wondered how long this one would last before she started trying to fix him like the others. His first chef had lasted 6 months before she began leaving little notes with his meals. "Hope you have a wonderful day." Or, "This soup always cheers me up when I'm feeling down." Alex had fired her immediately. The second chef tried to engage him in conversation about current events, gone after 3 months. The third one asked if he had family coming for Thanksgiving. 2 months. The fourth had suggested he might enjoy hosting dinner parties. 1 month. The fifth, and most recent, had been the worst. She had actually asked if he was lonely. Alex had fired her on the spot and told security to escort her out. Alex didn't understand why people couldn't just do their jobs. He paid them extremely well to provide a service, not to psychoanalyze his life or offer unwanted friendship. His life was exactly how he wanted it: controlled, predictable, safe. He had learned long ago that depending on people only led to disappointment. His mother had taught him that lesson when he was 7 years old. She had dropped him off at a gas station while he was in the bathroom and never came back. The police found him 12 hours later, still waiting by the restrooms, convinced she would return. Foster care had reinforced the lesson. Families would take him in, promise him a real home, then send him back when he became too much trouble, or when their circumstances changed. By the time he aged out of the system at 18, Alex had lived in 14 different homes. He had learned not to get attached to anyone or anything. Building his company had been his salvation. Technology was logical. Code did what you told it to do. Servers didn't have emotions or hidden agendas. Business relationships were straightforward exchanges of value. No one expected him to share his feelings or pretend to care about their Personal problems. Alex's phone rang, interrupting his thoughts. It was his lawyer, Richard Kane. Alex, the Morrison deal is ready for your signature. Can you come in this afternoon? Send the documents over. I'll review them and sign if everything looks good. Alex replied. You know, you should celebrate when this goes through. This deal puts you in the top 20 richest men in the country. That's quite an achievement. Alex felt no excitement about the milestone. It's just another transaction, Richard. Numbers on a screen. Maybe you should take a vacation. When's the last time you took time off? I don't need time off, I have work to do. After hanging up, Alex realized he couldn't remember the last time he had taken a full day away from the office. Weekends were just quieter work days. Holidays were opportunities to get caught up on projects without interruptions. His reflection was broken by Peter's voice on the intercom. Mr. Carter, you have the board meeting in 10 minutes. Alex straightened his tie and grabbed his tablet. The board meeting would last 3 hours, followed by calls with investors in California, then dinner alone while reviewing quarterly reports. It was Tuesday, which meant his housekeeping staff would clean the penthouse while he was at work. He would come home to perfectly arranged furniture, fresh flowers he never looked at, and a spotless kitchen where Linda would prepare his first meal tomorrow morning. As Alex walked toward the conference room, he passed a group of younger employees, laughing together near the coffee station. One of them, a programmer named Jake, was showing pictures of his new baby to his coworkers. Their faces were bright with genuine happiness and interest. Alex felt a strange pang in his chest watching them, but he quickly pushed the feeling away. Emotions were distractions. Relationships were liabilities. He had built an empire by staying focused on what mattered, business and success. Everything else was just noise. He entered the conference room where 12 board members were waiting, all eager to hear about the company's continued growth. This was his world. This was where he belonged. This was enough. It had to be enough. 3 weeks later, Alex sat in his usual restaurant, finishing a business dinner with clients from Japan. The meeting had ended earlier than expected, and for once, Alex found himself with free time. His driver had called in sick, and the backup driver wouldn't arrive for another hour. Alex stepped outside into the cool October evening. The streets of Manhattan were busy with people heading home from work and others going out for dinner. He started walking, something he rarely did in the city. Usually he went straight from his car to buildings and back to his car. The evening air felt good after being in stuffy conference rooms all day. Alex walked through the familiar business district, then found himself in Greenwich Village, an area he had never explored on foot. The neighborhood was different from his usual world of glass towers and expensive restaurants. Small shops lined the streets and people sat outside cafes talking and laughing. Dark clouds had been gathering all evening, and suddenly the sky opened up. Heavy rain poured down, soaking Alex's expensive suit within seconds. He looked around, frantically for shelter, and spotted a small bar with a green sign that read, Murphy's Tavern. Without thinking, he ran inside. The bar was nothing like the upscale places Alex usually visited. The lighting was warm and dim, with old wooden tables and mismatched chairs. Irish music played softly in the background, and the walls were covered with photographs of the neighborhood from decades past. The place smelled like coffee and something delicious cooking in the kitchen. Alex stood by the door, dripping wet and feeling completely out of place in his tailored suit. He was about to leave when a cheerful voice called out, "Hey there, you look like you got caught in that storm. Come sit anywhere you like." Alex turned to see a young woman with reddish-brown hair pulled back in a ponytail. She was wearing jeans and a green t-shirt with the bar's name on it. Her hands were stained with different colors of paint, and she had a warm smile that made her whole face light up. "I don't usually," Alex started to say, then stopped. He didn't want to admit he had never been in a place like this. "First time, at Murphy's?" the woman asked, grabbing a towel from behind the bar. "Here, dry off a bit. I'm Katie, by the way." Alex took the towel gratefully. "Thank you. I'm Alex." Katie led him to a small table near the window where he could watch the rain. "What can I get you to drink? We have great coffee if you want something warm, or beer, wine, whatever you like." Alex usually ordered expensive scotch, but somehow that seemed wrong here. What do you recommend? Well, if you want something to warm you up, Sean makes the best Irish coffee in the city. Sean's the owner. His family has run this place for 30 years. Irish coffee sounds good, Alex said, though he had never ordered one before. Katie brought the drink and sat down across from him. So, what brings you to our little corner of the world? You don't look like our usual crowd. Alex looked down at his wet designer suit and expensive watch. He did stand out. I was at a business dinner nearby, got caught in the rain. What kind of business? Katie asked, stirring sugar into her own cup of coffee. Alex hesitated. Usually when people learned what he did, their entire attitude changed. They either wanted something from him or became uncomfortable around him. Technology, he said simply. Cool. Like computer stuff? Something like that. Alex sipped his Irish coffee. It was delicious, sweet and warm with just enough whiskey to take the chill away. Katie laughed. You're not much of a talker, are you? That's okay. Some people aren't. What do you do for fun? The question caught Alex off guard. Fun? He couldn't remember the last time he had done something just for enjoyment. I work mostly, he admitted. That's not fun, that's just work, Katie said with another laugh. Everyone needs fun. I paint in my free time. Well, I try to. Between working here and my other jobs, I don't get much free time. But when I do, I paint. Other jobs? Yeah. I work at a coffee shop in the mornings and do some cleaning for an office building on weekends. I'm saving up to open my own art studio someday. Katie's eyes brightened when she talked about her dream. I know it sounds silly, but I've wanted to be a real artist since I was little. It doesn't sound silly, Alex said, and he meant it. What kind of art do you make? Katie seemed surprised that he was interested. Mostly paintings. I like to paint scenes from the neighborhood. People going about their daily lives. There's something beautiful about ordinary moments, you know? Alex didn't know, but he found himself curious about her perspective. Can I see some of your work? Really? You want to see my paintings? Katie's face lit up. I have some photos on my phone. They're not professional photos or anything, but... She pulled out an old smartphone with a cracked screen and showed Alex several pictures of her artwork. The paintings were colorful and full of life. One showed children playing in a park. Another showed an elderly man feeding pigeons, and another showed people gathered around a street musician. These are beautiful, Alex said, and he meant it. You're very talented, Katie blushed. Thanks. My art teacher in high school said I had potential, but I never went to art school or anything. Too expensive. You don't need school to be an artist, Alex said. Talent is talent. They talked for another hour. Katie told him about growing up in the neighborhood and taking care of her younger brother Danny, who had special needs. She spoke about her dreams with such passion that Alex found himself forgetting about his usual worries about quarterly reports and board meetings. What about you? Katie asked. Do you have family? Alex's walls started to go back up. No. No family. Katie must have sensed his discomfort because she changed the subject. Are you hungry? Sean makes the best shepherd's pie. It's like a warm hug on a plate. Alex realized he was hungry. His business dinner had been mostly talking and very little eating. Sure. When Katie brought the shepherd's pie, Alex was amazed by how good it tasted. It was simple, hearty food, nothing like the fancy restaurants he usually ate at. But it was delicious and satisfying in a way that surprised him. Good, right? Katie said, sitting back down with him. Sean's grandmother's recipe. Alex nodded, his mouth full. When he finished eating, he looked at his watch and was shocked to see it was almost 10 o'clock. He had been at Murphy's Tavern for 3 hours. 3 hours without checking his phone, without thinking about work, without feeling the usual emptiness that followed him everywhere. I should go, he said, standing up. The rain stopped about an hour ago, Katie said. Your suit is probably dry now, too. Alex looked down. She was right. He had been so comfortable talking with Katie that he had forgotten about being wet and uncomfortable. How much do I owe you? He asked, reaching for his wallet. $25, Katie said. Alex pulled out a $50 bill. Keep the change. Katie's eyes widened. That's a big tip for shepherd's pie and Irish coffee. You gave me good service, Alex said. It was true, but it was more than that. Katie had given him something he hadn't experienced in years. A genuine conversation with another person who didn't want anything from him. As Alex walked to the door, Katie called out, "Come back anytime, Alex. You're always welcome here." Walking back toward his usual part of the city, Alex found himself thinking about Katie's laugh and the way her eyes lit up when she talked about her art. For the first time in years, he was looking forward to something that wasn't work-related. He was already planning when he might find an excuse to walk through Greenwich Village again. Alex couldn't stop thinking about Katie and Murphy's Tavern. For the next 3 days, he found himself distracted during meetings, remembering her laugh and the way she talked about her art with such passion. He had never met anyone like her. Friday evening, Alex made a decision that surprised even himself. Instead of going straight home after work, he told his driver to drop him off near Greenwich Village. He walked the few blocks to Murphy's Tavern, his heart beating faster than it should have been. When he walked in, Katie was behind the bar wiping down glasses. She looked up and smiled when she saw him. "Alex, you came back. I was hoping you would." "I was in the area," Alex said, though it wasn't true. He had specifically come to see her. "Same table?" Katie asked, pointing to the spot by the window where they had sat before. Alex nodded and sat down. Katie brought him an Irish coffee without him asking for it. "I remembered your order," she said with a grin. "Are you hungry? Sean made beef stew today. It's amazing." "Sure," Alex said. He wasn't particularly hungry, but he wanted an excuse to stay longer. While Katie went to get his food, Alex looked around the bar. It was busier than it had been during the rainstorm. Local people sat at various tables, talking and laughing. Everyone seemed to know each other. It was like a big family, something Alex had never experienced. Katie returned with the stew and sat down with him again. "So how was your week? More computer stuff?" Alex smiled. "Something like that. What about you? How's the art going?" Katie's face brightened. "Actually, I finished a new painting this week. It's of the street outside here with all the people walking by in the evening light. I've been working on it for 2 months." "That sounds beautiful. Where do you paint?" "In my apartment. It's tiny, but I set up a corner as my studio. It's not much, but it works." Katie stirred her coffee. "I'm actually saving up to rent a real studio space. There's this little place above the bookstore down the street that would be perfect, but it's expensive." Alex found himself wanting to help her, but he knew he had to be careful. If Katie found out how much money he had, everything would change. Over. The next few weeks, Alex became a regular at Murphy's Tavern. He started coming twice a week, always when Katie was working. He learned that she worked at the bar on Tuesday and Friday evenings, at a coffee shop called Bean There on weekday mornings, and cleaned office buildings on weekends to make ends. Katie learned that Alex worked long hours and lived alone. She never pushed him for details about his job or personal life, which Alex appreciated. Instead, they talked about books, movies, and Katie's dreams of becoming a full-time artist. Alex began to feel things he had forgotten existed. He looked forward to their conversations. He found himself smiling at work when he remembered something funny Katie had said. For the first time in years, he felt connected to another person, but Alex was careful to keep his real life separate. He always paid in cash so Katie wouldn't see his name on a credit card. He wore his simplest clothes when he visited the bar. He made up stories about working for a small tech company to explain his schedule. 3 weeks into their friendship, disaster struck. Katie called in sick to work on a Tuesday, which worried Alex because she had never missed a shift before. When she didn't show up on Friday either, Alex asked Sean about her. "Poor girl's had a terrible week," Sean said, shaking his head. Her apartment building had a big water pipe break. Flooded half the building, including her place. Lost a lot of her artwork and most of her furniture. Alex felt his chest tighten. Is she okay? Where is she staying? She's fine, but she's staying at her friend Maria's place. It's crowded and Katie lost months of work on her paintings. She was so upset when she came in to tell me she couldn't work. Been crying for days. That night, Alex couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about Katie losing her artwork and having nowhere to live. He had billions of dollars and could easily solve her problems, but how could he help without revealing who he really was? The next morning, Alex called his assistant Peter into his office. I need you to arrange something, and it needs to be completely anonymous, Alex said. Of course, Mr. Carter, what do you need? There's been a flood at an apartment building in Greenwich Village. I want to hire the best art restoration company in the city to help the residents who lost artwork. Also arrange temporary housing for anyone who needs it. Make sure it looks like it's coming from a charity or the city, not from me. Peter looked surprised, but nodded. I'll take care of it right away. And Peter, if anyone asks where this came from, you don't know anything. Within 2 days, professional art restorers showed up at Katie's building. They managed to save several of her paintings that had been damaged but not destroyed. The city also announced a special emergency housing program for flood victims, and Katie was able to move into a nice temporary apartment while her building was repaired. When Alex saw Katie the following Friday, she was happier than he had ever seen her. Alex, you won't believe what happened, she said, sitting down at his table with excitement. After the flood, these amazing art restoration people came and saved some of my paintings, and the city gave me this great temporary apartment. It's like a miracle. That's wonderful, Alex said, trying to hide his smile. You deserve some good luck. I feel so grateful. There are good people in the world, you know. Someone cared enough to help people like me who don't have much. Alex's chest felt warm hearing Katie's happiness, but he also felt guilty about lying to her. He wanted to tell her the truth, but he was afraid she would think he was trying to buy her friendship. Over the next month, Alex continued visiting Murphy's Tavern regularly. He and Katie grew closer, sharing more personal stories. Katie told him about her parents who had died in a car accident when she was 22, leaving her to care for Danny. Alex shared more about his childhood, though he was careful not to mention the foster homes or his mother's abandonment. You seem lonely sometimes, Katie said one evening. Don't you have friends you spend time with? Alex shrugged. I work a lot. It's hard to make friends as an adult. Well, you have me now, Katie said with a smile. I mean, if you want to be friends? I'd like that, Alex said, and he meant it more than anything he had ever said. But even as their friendship deepened, Alex knew he was living a lie. Every time Katie thanked the mysterious helpers who had saved her art and given her housing, he felt the weight of his deception. He was falling for Katie, but she didn't even know his real name or anything true about his life. Alex began to realize that his carefully controlled world was becoming complicated in ways he had never imagined. For the first time in 30 years, he cared about someone else's happiness more than his own success. But he had no idea how to tell Katie the truth without losing her forever. For 2 months, Alex lived in 2 different worlds. During the day, he was Alexander Carter, billionaire CEO who made decisions that affected thousands of employees and millions of dollars. At night, twice a week, he became just Alex, a guy who worked in technology and enjoyed talking with Katie at Murphy's Tavern. The double life was getting harder to maintain. Alex found himself lying more often, making up stories about his simple job and small apartment. When Katie asked why he never invited her over, he said his place was too messy. When she wondered why he always had cash and never used credit cards, he said he was trying to control his spending. Alex knew he should tell Katie the truth, but he was terrified. Every woman he had ever met changed completely when they learned about his wealth. They either wanted his money or became so intimidated that they couldn't act natural around him anymore. Katie was different. She liked him for who he was, not what he had. He couldn't bear the thought of losing that. One busy Friday evening, Murphy's Tavern was packed with the usual crowd. Alex sat at his regular table waiting for Katie to have a break so they could talk. She was rushing between tables, taking orders and serving drinks with her usual cheerful smile. Maria Rodriguez, Katie's best friend and fellow waitress, was working that night too. Maria was protective of Katie and had always been friendly but cautious around Alex. She thought it was strange that Katie's new friend never talked much about himself. During a quiet moment, Maria stepped outside for fresh air. She pulled out her phone to check her messages and saw a notification from a business news app. The headline read, "Tech billionaire Alexander Carter's company reaches new record profits." Maria clicked on the article out of curiosity. She had always been interested in business news, hoping to start her own restaurant someday. When the article loaded, she saw a large photo of Alexander Carter at a business conference. Maria's mouth fell open. The man in the photo looked exactly like Alex, Katie's mysterious friend. Same face, same dark hair, same serious expression. But instead of the simple clothes Alex wore to the bar, this man was wearing an expensive suit and standing in front of a backdrop that said, Carter Industries. Maria read the article quickly. Alexander Carter, age 45, CEO and founder of Carter Industries, estimated worth $12 billion, one of the richest men in America. Maria's hands shook as she stared at the photo. This had to be the same person. But why was he pretending to be someone else? What did he want with Katie? Maria went back inside, her mind racing. She watched Alex, sitting at his table, looking like any other customer in his casual clothes. But now she knew the truth. This man could buy the entire neighborhood without thinking twice about it. All evening, Maria watched Alex and Katie talking and laughing together. Katie clearly cared about this man, but she had no idea who he really was. Maria felt sick thinking about how Katie would feel when she found out she had been lied to. After the bar closed, Maria helped Katie clean up while Alex waited outside. "Katie, we need to talk," Maria said seriously. "What's wrong?" "You look upset," Katie said, putting chairs up on tables. Maria pulled out her phone and showed Katie the article. "This is your friend Alex." Katie looked at the screen and laughed. "That's not Alex. That guy looks rich and fancy. Alex works for a small tech company." "Look, closer, Katie. Really look at his face." Katie studied the photo more carefully. Her smile slowly faded. The man in the picture had the same eyes, the same nose, the same mouth as Alex. It was definitely him. "This can't be right," Katie whispered. "His real name is Alexander Carter. He's worth $12 billion, Katie. $12 billion. Katie felt like the room was spinning. "No, that's impossible. He's just Alex." "Think about it," Maria said gently. "He always pays in cash. He never talks about his job. He always wears simple clothes, but they look expensive if you really notice. And remember when you got all that help after the flood? What if that wasn't from a charity?" Katie's legs felt weak. She sat down heavily in one of the chairs. Everything, Maria was saying, made horrible sense. Alex had been lying to her for months. Everything she thought she knew about him was fake. "Why would he do this?" Katie asked, tears starting to form in her eyes. "I don't know," Maria said. "Maybe he gets some kind of thrill from pretending to be normal. Maybe rich people get bored and play games with people like us." Katie thought about all their conversations, all the times she had shared her dreams and struggles with Alex. She had told him about working 3 jobs, about barely being able to pay rent, about saving every penny for her art studio. He had listened and seemed to care, but all along he had enough money to solve all her problems without even noticing the cost. "He's been laughing at me this whole time," Katie said bitterly. "Maybe not laughing, but definitely lying," Maria said. Katie wiped her eyes and stood up. "He's still outside waiting for me." "What are you going to do?" "I'm going to tell him I know the truth." Katie walked outside where Alex was standing under the streetlight checking his phone. When he saw her, he smiled the same warm smile that had made her feel special for months. "Ready to go?" Alex asked. He had been walking Katie to the subway station after her shifts, another small gesture that had meant a lot to her. "I know who you are," Katie said quietly. Alex's smile disappeared. "What do you mean?" "Alexander Carter. Carter Industries. $12 billion. Katie's voice got louder with each word. "I know who you really are." Alex felt his world crashing down around him. "Katie, let me explain." "Explain what?" That you've been lying to me for months? That everything you told me about your life was fake?" Katie's voice was shaking with anger and hurt. "My feelings for you aren't fake," Alex said desperately. "Everything I feel for you is real. How can anything be real when you've been pretending to be someone else?" Katie shouted. Other people on the street started to look at them. "Did you think this was funny? Playing pretend with the poor waitress?" "It's not like that," Alex said. "I never meant to hurt you." "But you did hurt me. You made me trust you. I told you things I don't tell anyone. I thought we were friends." "But friends don't lie about everything. We are friends. I care about you more than anyone I've ever met." "You don't care about me," Katie said, tears streaming down her face. "You care about the idea of me. You wanted to play house with a regular person and I was your little project." "That's not true, Katie. Please listen to me." "No, I'm done listening. I'm done with your lies." Katie started walking toward the subway. "Don't come back to Murphy's. Don't call me. Don't try to contact me at all. Whatever game you were playing, it's over." Alex stood on the empty street, watching Katie disappear down the subway stairs. For the first time in his adult life, he felt completely helpless. All his money and power meant nothing. He had lost the only person who had ever made him feel truly happy, and it was entirely his own fault. The next few weeks were the worst of Alex's life. He threw himself back into work, but nothing felt important anymore. His employees noticed that he was even more distant and difficult than usual. He fired 2 people for minor mistakes and canceled 3 major meetings because he couldn't focus. Peter Morris watched his boss with growing concern. Alex had been different for the past few months, happier and more relaxed. Now he seemed worse than ever, like all the light had gone out of him. Meanwhile, Katie was struggling too. She missed Alex terribly, but she couldn't get past the betrayal. She kept thinking about all the times she had worried about money in front of him, all the times she had talked about her dreams of having her own studio. He could have helped her easily, but instead he had just watched her struggle. The worst part was that despite everything, Katie couldn't stop caring about Alex. She hated herself for it, but she missed their conversations and the way he listened to her like she was the most important person in the world. But how could she trust anything he had said or done? 3 weeks passed without any contact between Alex and Katie. Alex felt empty inside, like a part of him was missing. He tried to go back to his old routine of working 18 hours a day, but nothing felt the same. Every evening he found himself wanting to walk to Murphy's Tavern, but he respected Katie's wishes and stayed away. Peter Morris finally couldn't watch his boss suffer anymore. "Mr. Carter, I don't know what happened in your personal life, but you need to fix it. You're making everyone in the office miserable." Alex looked up from his computer with tired eyes. "Some things can't be fixed, Peter." "Everything can be fixed if you try hard enough," Peter said. "Whatever you did wrong, find a way to make it right." That same day, Alex received some bad news that made him think about Katie even more. His lawyer Richard called with information about Murphy's Tavern. "Alex, you know that neighborhood in Greenwich Village you've been asking me to research? There's a development company trying to buy up the whole block. They want to tear down all the old buildings and put up luxury condos." Alex felt his heart sink. "What about the current businesses?" "They're offering buyouts, but most of the small business owners can't afford to relocate. That little Irish bar, Murphy's Tavern, is about to lose their lease. The rent is going up so high they'll have to close." Alex thought about Sean Murphy, who had run the bar for 30 years, and all the regular customers who treated the place like their second home. Most of all, he thought about Katie losing her job and the place where she felt like part of a family. That night, Alex made a decision. He called Richard back. "I want to buy that entire block," Alex said. "The whole block? That's going to cost a lot of money, even for you. I don't care about the cost, but I want to do this quietly. Make sure the current businesses can stay at their current rent prices, and I want to set up a fund to help local artists and create programs for people with special needs." Alex wasn't doing this to win Katie back. He was doing it because it was the right thing to do, and because Katie had taught him to care about more than just his own success. A week later, Sean Murphy was amazed when his lawyer called with incredible news. An anonymous buyer had purchased the building and wanted all current businesses to stay exactly as they were. Not only that, but their rent would actually be lower than before. "It's like a miracle," Sean told Katie when she came in for her shift. "Whoever bought this place wants to help the community, not get rid of us." Katie was happy for Sean, but she couldn't help wondering if Alex was somehow involved. She pushed the thought away. She didn't want to give him credit for something good when he had hurt her so badly. But then more good things started happening in the neighborhood. A new community center opened, offering free art classes and support programs for families with special needs children. Katie signed Danny up for several programs that would help him learn job skills and make friends. Katie started to suspect that these changes weren't coincidental. When she asked Sean if he knew anything about the mysterious buyer, he just shrugged. "All I know is someone cares about this neighborhood," Sean said. "Real care, not just money care." One Saturday afternoon, Katie decided to take Danny to the new community center. She wanted to see the art program and maybe volunteer to teach some classes. Danny loved the center immediately, especially the computer lab and the cooking classes. As Katie walked Danny to his first cooking class, she heard a familiar voice coming from one of the meeting rooms. She looked through the open door and saw Alex sitting with a group of parents, helping them understand different support services available for their children. Katie stopped and watched, hidden behind the doorframe. Alex wasn't wearing expensive clothes or acting like an important businessman. He was just sitting with these families, listening to their concerns and helping them navigate complicated paperwork. He seemed genuinely interested in helping each family find what they needed. "This man has been volunteering here every Saturday since we opened," said Mrs. Chen, the center director, appearing beside Katie. "He doesn't want any recognition or publicity. He just wants to help families." Katie's heart started beating faster. "How long has he been doing this?" "About a month. He's wonderful with the children, too. Your brother seems to really like him." Katie looked back into the room and saw Danny sitting next to Alex, showing him a drawing he had made. Alex was listening carefully to Danny's explanation of his artwork, asking questions and smiling genuinely. After the session ended, families started leaving. Katie waited until the room was almost empty, then walked inside. Alex looked up and saw her. His face showed surprise, hope, and fear all at the same time. "Katie," Alex said softly, "I didn't know you came here." "Danny loves the programs," Katie said, keeping her voice neutral. "Mrs. Chen says you volunteer here every week." Alex nodded. "These families need help and I have time. And money," Katie added. "Yes," Alex admitted, "and money. But that's not why I'm here." Katie looked around the room, seeing all the resources and programs that hadn't existed a month ago. "You did all this, didn't you? The community center. Saving Murphy's all of it." "I wanted to help," Alex said simply. "This neighborhood matters, these people matter. You could have just written a check and walked away. Why are you here every week?" Alex was quiet for a moment. "Because you taught me that caring about people means more than just giving money. You taught me that real relationships require actually showing up." Katie felt tears starting in her eyes. "Why didn't you just tell me the truth from the beginning?" "Because I was scared," Alex said honestly. "Every time people find out about my money, they change. They either want something from me or they can't see past the money to see me. With you, I felt like a normal person for the first time in my life." "But I'm not like other people," Katie said. "I fell for you before I knew about your money. I fell for the man who listened to my dreams and made me laugh." "I'm still that man," Alex said. "The money doesn't change who I am inside." Katie studied his face, seeing the same kindness in his eyes that had drawn her to him months ago. "I was so hurt when I found out. I felt like everything between us was a lie." "My feelings were never a lie," Alex said. "I know I made a terrible mistake by not telling you the truth, but what I feel for you is the most real thing in my life." Danny came running over to them, excited about his cooking class. "Katie, Alex helped me make cookies. He's really nice." Katie smiled at her brother, then looked back at Alex. "I've missed you," she admitted. I've missed you too, Alex said. More than I thought possible. If we try again, things have to be different, Katie said. No more lies. No more pretending to be someone you're not. I promise, Alex said, complete honesty from now on. 6 months later, Katie stood in her own art studio, the space above the bookstore that she had dreamed about for so long. But she hadn't gotten it because of Alex's money. She had earned it with her own talent and hard work. Alex had simply made sure she had the opportunity to succeed. The studio was filled with her paintings and several other local artists' work. Tonight was the opening night of her first solo exhibition. The space was crowded with people from the neighborhood, art lovers, and even some collectors who had heard about Katie's talent. Alex stood in the corner, watching Katie talk excitedly with visitors about her artwork. She was glowing with happiness and pride. This success was entirely her own, and Alex was proud to be part of her life. Danny was there too, wearing a nice shirt and tie, helping serve refreshments. He had made so much progress in the community programs and was talking about getting a part-time job at the center when he turned 18. Sean Murphy raised a glass of wine and called for everyone's attention. To Katie Sullivan, the most talented artist in Greenwich Village, and to second chances and new beginnings. Everyone cheered and clapped. Katie found Alex in the crowd and smiled at him. He had kept his promise about honesty, and she had learned to trust again. After the gallery opening, Katie and Alex walked to Murphy's Tavern just like they had so many times before. But now everything was different. They were building a real relationship based on truth and genuine love. I have something to tell you, Alex said as they sat at their old table. Katie tensed slightly. What? Alex reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box. I love you, Katie Sullivan. Will you marry me? Katie looked at the simple, beautiful ring and then at Alex's nervous face. She thought about everything they had been through, all the mistakes and forgiveness, all the growth and learning. Yes, she said, tears of joy streaming down her face. Yes, I'll marry you. As Alex slipped the ring onto her finger, Katie realized that the best love stories weren't about perfect people finding each other. They were about imperfect people, choosing to grow together, to forgive each other's mistakes, and to build something beautiful together. Alex had learned that money couldn't buy love, but love could teach him how to use his money for good. Katie had learned that trust was worth fighting for, and that real love saw past wealth and status to the person underneath. 1 year later, they were married in Murphy's Tavern, surrounded by the community that had brought them together. It wasn't a fancy wedding, but it was perfect for them. Sean Murphy performed the ceremony. Danny was the ring bearer and Maria was Katie's maid of honor.